all for coming tonight. You can see that we have a lengthy agenda, and in the interest of trying to move through things as efficiently as possible, please remember that if anyone has any comments or concerns, please raise their hand and wait to be addressed by the board by the chair before beginning to speak, please. I'm going to have a little less patience than usual with outbursts, just given the amount of material that we had to cover tonight. The first item that we have on our agenda is the town administrator report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. First item is not on the written report. I'll give you the verbal report. This morning at 10 o'clock, town officials met at the Templeton Development Center with officials of the TDC, including the deputy commissioner from the state DDS. Two members of the select board were there, Diane and John. We had our public works director, our police chief, fire chief, and we brought to them a written set of questions that had been raised in the meeting of the departments that we had, the special meeting of the departments that we had last week. And I think it was a pretty comprehensive list going over all of the expected services that the town may be required to provide once the state closes the center. They're expected to close around the 1st of December. They're expected to complete the 3 new group homes in November. And obviously, we are concerned that the closure, and as well as, for example, getting rid of their own local campus police will mean a greater burden for the town's police. They have said that they think we own Freight Shed Road and would have to take over the maintenance of that. And so these kinds of questions were brought up. Senator Brewer was there, Representative Goby was there, and Representative Andrews were very helpful to us. And after some discussion, Senator Brewer asked the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, if he would provide within 3 weeks written responses to the questions that we have. They agreed to do that, and we agreed that we'll have another meeting on the 29th, same time, same place, to review the written responses and to try and assess what the new costs to the town will be once the services that are being provided by the state agency itself are shifted to the town. Obviously, there was a fair amount of resistance to this from town officials. They actually cut state aid to the town this year, and we tried to make the point that you can't cut state support and at the same time push services out to the town that are going to be expensive and cost the town money. So that's where we are, and I would think that we're going to move towards an assessment of new costs and then basically ask our legislators to provide additional financial support to the town to offset what we expect are going to be new costs. So next meeting of that is the 29th. The revenue projection, as I said to you, it's ready. I did give it to the Department of Revenue, and I spoke with the Springfield office last week, at the end of the week, and I was told that we would have an appointment date when the Department of Revenue is coming to town, and secondly, that she would, that Deb Wagner would give a response to the revenue projection sheet so that then I can distribute it to the Board of Selectmen and to the tab. I haven't received that yet. I don't have a date yet, so I will do a reminder tomorrow. I want to get that done so we can agree upon our projected revenues and then go forward with the budget process. Various town hall projects. The brickwork around the rear windows obviously is finished. The ramp is built. You've all seen what the highway department has done. They've done a lot of excavating. They've removed the blacktop. They've leveled the area preparing for putting pavement over a significant portion of that back lot for parking. And also, they removed paving on the, it would be the west side of Town Hall, which is going to be planted with grass. And we're at the point now where we're looking to recruit a contractor who can build the concrete walkway. We also have to seed the area, and this is the time to do it. I just had a conversation with the highway superintendent 20 minutes ago about ordering the seed, getting it in there, and having a plan for irrigation so that we can have grass rather than mud through the winter. And the last piece of this is it's important that we put down a binder course of blacktop before winter. And that brings up the cost of that. If we want to put down a binder and a top course, the total cost is going to be $18,500. To do the binder alone, which I think we can do, and then do the top course next year, the binder alone would be $11,300. That would not take into account the parking lot there adjacent to the side of Town Hall, just that part that goes back into the back lot. But clearly we have to resolve that, and we have to come up with some funding. I don't think anyone would enjoy having the dirt there. First of all, it'll erode, and secondly, there'll be mud and other problems, and you can't park there, obviously, and they won't be able to remove snow. So this is urgent that we go forward with this and find a way to fund it. Bud has said that the contractor for our streets program is going to start tomorrow, and that in conjunction with that, the most convenient and least expensive way to address this would be to have the contractor do 101 and Orchard Lane, and then just move directly over to Town Hall, put down a base coat, and then keep going. So I think we can get it done in a timely way, and it's just a matter of coming up with some funding. Obviously, we can fund it we can provide some funds at the special town meeting, but then it would be too late, or getting to be too late to do the work itself. So we have to work on this. We have to work on this funding process now. We can probably get the work done and worry about how we're going to pay for it later. Obviously, we can't use Chapter 90 because it's not a public street. So that's where we are with the electrical work is complete. As you can see, the ramp is complete, and Holly is soliciting bids by telephone for the several contractors to do the concrete walkway. Heating system is in. The new boiler is installed, wired up, so we're going to have heat this season. The outside louvers for the old heating system are being removed, and we're going to fill in with brickwork there. I've contacted Sterling about the handicap accessible bathroom. I'm advised, as you can see, I've written here, Bill Sterling advises that we make the changes to the main bathroom, the main unisex bathroom, not be concerned about the other portion of his design. They're separable. No harm done, no changes if we just go ahead with the unisex. Also, Holly working on bids from local plumbers. We need a decision on the doors. We have decided to replace the back doors, but the issue of the front doors is becoming complicated. Right now, Doug is the only one who can lock the front door. We had to call, I mean, I've tinkered with it. Holly, it's a very delicate tinkering you have to do to get the lock. It's locked now. We're just not going to use it. But the issue is, I think, replace the hardware only so we can lock it, or replace the hardware and the doors themselves. Contractor we've been working with obviously recommends that we replace the front doors as well as the back doors. That's where it stands. We do have to get that resolved as quickly as we can as well. So, Julie and her husband did some painting over the weekend, and they did a good job in the room where we are expected to move two offices that are not in the building right now. The last 5 departments are scheduled, at least, to be relocated to Town Hall on the 8th of October. We will have some issues, do have some issues, with the clerk and the vault. I've given you material that was given to me from the Massachusetts Secretary of State, or Secretary of the Commonwealth, setting out some standards based in statute for the vault. I guess we need to address this. We don't need to do it tonight, but you may want to take some time to read through that, and we need to come to a decision with regard to that. As you know, we were unable to hire a town accountant. We had 4 applicants, 2 dropped out. I interviewed 2. 1 did not have the qualifications that we were looking for, and I had to disqualify the other one as well. So we're back to square one. There will be ads in Massachusetts Municipal Association website this week for town accountant, treasurer collector, and assistant treasurer collector, because we are now in that timetable as well to hire permanent treasurer collectors. The MBI program, you saw the email that I sent you today, I hope, about the MBI program. Mass Broadband Institute, they've got a grant and they've got a free program that they're making available to 10 communities. Templeton was picked as one of them. At no cost, they will come out and take a look at our whole network and provide some advice to what we should do going forward with technology, and particularly how to utilize the fiber backbone that the Commonwealth has funded. So they wanted an answer by today, so I told them yes. I mean, there's absolutely no cost to the town. They're going to gather the department heads together and discuss the needs, come up with an assessment for us. And then secondly, there's a program on the 16th to the 18th in Springfield. I've been back and forth about this. There's a cost to it, but also the cost is time. I mean, I don't have a lot of time here. I am reluctant to take 2 days on that week and attend that conference, as good as it looks. I mean, it really looks like it would be a very useful and valuable conference relating to economic development and the MBI program. I just don't know how to work that out, as well as, somehow in recent weeks we've become very busy with a lot of issues, tonight being an example of the kind of stuff that's going on. So I don't have an answer for that at this point. Alan Mayo came in and wanted me to let everyone know that the Templeton Center playground equipment has been ordered and will be installed on the 25th, 26th, and 27th. The Perini case is closed. As you know, a suit was filed with the Mass Commission Against Discrimination, alleging discriminatory decision on what happened, and the MCAD decided that the town had not discriminated and was not at fault. So, the F-16 budget format is something that I've met several times, just about weekly, with Will Spring, to take a look at that format and try and improve it. For example, adding account numbers, object codes, adding the number of hours that an employee works per week. So in other words, to provide more information in the budget document that we can use when we need information like that. Lastly, We have 2 new town employees, which I've appointed, and you know the new process is for the town administrator to make the appointment, but it must be confirmed by the Board of Selectmen. The Selectmen have said that they would like to meet any new appointees, and so I've asked them both to come here tonight with their department heads. Bud has one, and our police chief has one, so why don't you, well, start with Pamela, I guess. Okay. This is Pamela Rogers. She'll be replacing Jean at the Highway Department. We've gone through an advertising process and I think a very good selection process. I met with her today. She comes very highly recommended with a good background for the kind of work that will be done. Why don't we?
I'll start with the introduction.
Yeah.
This is Pamela Rogers. This is John Columbus, Selectman, Diane Haley Brooks, Ken Robinson, our chair, Doug Morrison, Julie Farrell, and Bob and Holly. I'm recommended that we take the opportunity to hire for the Highway Department. I think she'll be a good fit for the Highway Department. She comes with a lot of background.
And I don't answer this, but just to the public, this is a position that was already approved as part of the town's annual budget, correct?
That's correct.
Right, so we're not adding a new position. This is
Not adding. We're replacing.
Previous secretary chose to move on out of the town, and we have money in the budget that will cover this employee's new hire and salary.
Do I have a motion to appoint who is a session
I'll make a motion to appoint Pamela Rogers as the Highway Department administrative assistant.
Is there a second? Second. I have a first and a second, any discussion from the board?
Just wanted to ask if you would tell us a little bit about yourself. Well, I have at least 20 years' experience in the administrative field. I've gone from purchasing to inventory control to administrative office work throughout New England. So I try to maintain a good job status. I don't move around a lot.
Anything else? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome again. I told you to be sitting. Okay, Chief? You know, one of the issues that we have discussed, at least, is that Chief Bennett is a strong chief, and under that system, he basically has the right to make appointments, as opposed to the new town manager bylaw that says the town manager makes appointments. We haven't got that resolved yet, but for now, I thought we'll go through this process, and it is the chief's decision.
Having said that, after we interviewed, I did bring Mr. Sano over to
Yes.
Mr. Marcos. This is Joseph Sano. We held interviews 2 weeks ago for a full-time position. It is funded in the current budget. Reason why we are still short one patrol, so we're not at full staff yet. And what we did is we went certified, got retrained. Mr. Sarno is not Massachusetts certified, however, he's going to get an exemption. We cleared that through the NPTC, which is the training council. He is certified in Florida and in Michigan, and meets all the requirements to get an exemption, so we will not have to send him to DCAT. We're going to run him through 80 hours of in-service, starting on the 19th, and then we will go into control effective October 1st. I don't know if you have any other questions, or how you want.
I just like to meet people, to like kind of, so that we know who we are, and we know who you are.
My wife and I are looking, actually,
Okay.
here today.
Question for the, how many applicants did you interview, Chief?
We actually has over 25 applicants. However, most of them were not certified. And being that the town was facing financial trouble, some people, that did scare a lot of qualified individuals away from putting to the town. However, Sergeant Bliss and Sergeant Hall and myself did an exhausting search, and we were fortunate that I think Mr. Simon was going to fit in with the direction that we're trying to have the department go towards, where respectful and professional in the community. So,
I'll make a motion to appoint Mr. Sano as, what is it? Patrolman? Okay.
Is there a second? Second. And first and second, any further discussion from the board? Julie?
Yes.
Doug? John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Welcome to Templeton and the crowd.
Don't say she's really.
That concludes my report. I'm sorry. We did issue the RFP for the school department. They're seeking an alternative site to the one which has been identified. That goes on the Central Register tomorrow, or Wednesday? Wednesday, yes. And we'll see what emerges there. For those who were not part of the earlier discussion, I think there's concern by the school committee and the school department that although the land was provided by the state, that preparation costs for that land are in the millions of dollars. And so they are seeking an alternative site in order to save money. And lastly, the pro forma tax rate recap is done. Actually, it's done. It is entered in the DOR website. They haven't posted it yet. I did check with the DOR office in Springfield to see if it's satisfactory. There was one item that they wanted some change with. It's been corrected, so we're ready to go as soon as they give us a date for the session out here. I think we're ready to go forward.
Just out of curiosity, how does that compare with last year's?
When was the tax rate recap?
Yeah, what was done now done last year? March?
March, I think, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're almost a half a year ahead.
Yeah, we had to have it done, we got it done for the March 29th special town meeting.
Okay, great, thank you very much. So progress in the right direction, it seems. The next item that we have on the agenda is a meeting with the Light and Water Commissioners. Thank you very much for coming. I don't know if you want to come down here or stay there, where he's fine with me. We had two items to discuss, just as we did with the sewer enterprise, discuss the fee for services, and discuss the formula-based pilot payment to taxes. I know that the town administrator has been working with the Light and Water Manager to kind of begin the process of the discussion, and I think that as I see it, our purpose here is not to get into an actual formulation or just kind of to agree on a path moving forward and where we kind of go from here in terms of moving in that direction.
Thank you.
I think we're here to basically discuss the relationship, the financial relationship. There's been a great deal of talk about two of the items that you've mentioned already, and that is the town does carry capacity for dispatching for the municipal light and water department. Also does payroll, does the vendor warrant, and also, I guess, the other question that's been discussed from time to time, since I have been here at least, is the issue of establishing a regular payment in lieu of taxes, or pilot, which would be based upon mathematical formula, based upon sales, I guess. At least in my experience in other communities, that's how it was done. So I think that kind of tees up the discussion.
Whichever you would like to, well, actually, we would handle the pilot first, just because that might be a topic, I don't know. Yeah, I think that they would handle the pilot first. And then we'll do that.
One misconception by some people is this 2009 report on DOR is not that what everyone's seen. It is important to remember that report was a recommendation to do it's not a law. It will be on that. I think everyone's understanding of it now. That being said, there's people something that we were in 2009 around the time, part of the time the water department got a copy of the report and went through it. We did establish a formula that was tied to a couple of variables. One was the town's tax rate translation, and then was the value of the land, which obviously goes up every year. The issue and lately with that particular format is, we started using the formula was handy to plug in that. So numbers, it gave you a range, it gave you a high number of the order. So we use 50,000, maybe they say 100,000. You can pick a number in between as a guideline. It's all just a guideline. I know the department's been more than generous in this since I've been here. Even before I took over for Sean Hamilton, with the pilot, they've always given on the higher end of that range, if not more. Some years have even made a contribution in this discussion and have given some more, help out. Again, going back to 2009, obviously the tax rate was a lot lower than I can't recall off the top of my head. I think the tax rate just went from 14.12 to 16.25.
1624.
24. Okay, so a significant jump there. What that does is the DOR doesn't take into account the time period we have. And I think there's some assumptions made that whoever designed that formula, that taxes are going to go up, say, 2.5% every year. That's a foregone conclusion, probably even more in this economy, whereas that works out well as long as the either the light rates go up 2.5% plus the rate, or the sales go up one or the other. And since 2009, we've had a downturn in town. I think at the best part of it, we probably had 10 or 15 homes empty. The worst part, maybe almost 100. I honestly don't know when that number is now. Somewhere in the 60 to 70 range. So obviously all those people, their houses are not paying electric bills, not paying electric either. So when you start entering numbers in the formula, you realize that there's really nowhere in that formula to put our number. What it is it's a number of the plant value going up every year, which we get from our accounting firm. There's some formulas. Takes the town's average tax rate the last 10 years, not that 16.4, that's important to note. So the average over the last 10 years is now like $11, something like that. But it's constantly pushing up the range of those two numbers for the pilot. And I have to go to the board and say, here's what the formula says. Here's our guideline. Well, how do we do this here? Well, not so great. It looks like 2013, basically break even. 2012, it's not a lot of business. It's not a lot of growth. We didn't really lose any large customers. We didn't really gain either. So I don't personally, I'm not a board member, and I don't really object to having a pilot agreement as long as we can somehow good, though, 405 or 6, I mean, it used to the area for building and whatnot, you know, there was a lot more revenue coming, it was reliable. So it was easy to make those kind of donations. It's definitely not easy now. So, if we, I think, if I, I'm not going to speak for the women, obviously, but if we get time to revenues, it would be a much more fair process. I think everyone understands that.
And just to speak for myself, I think for me, and I don't know if you call it, I personally believe that a sales-based formula would be appropriate as well. Obviously, because the purpose for me, at least why I'm interested in this topic, is not to extract revenue from the light department, because obviously if you raise the rates to pay the pilot, then my light bill goes up, as does everyone else's. So I completely understand that situation. Also, for me, even if the town is getting less revenue from the light and water department, I would be happy with that. It's just for the sake of taking this is no longer an issue, because it's been, what, half a decade at least that we've been arguing about, not we, but this has been a hot topic of discussion in the community. And I think that by having a set formula, whatever that formula may be, having a set formula that I believe should be tied to sales or to revenue of the light and water department, takes this as a contentious issue away from the town. You know, it's one less thing to fight about. So again, even if the town is getting less based on that pilot than what it has gotten in the past, which is very well possible, I think that it's worth it in order to have this as a set formula. So then the town can have some degree of certainty, because at this point, obviously, the commissioners can get together and say we're not giving a penny. So, you know, if by having a set formula, we know we obviously can't anticipate your revenue, but we can kind of project it somewhat based on growth in town. And I'm completely aware that every year more people get more energy efficient appliances and use more green energy, so obviously electric sales are going to go down, and you know, unless we get some big factory moving in. But are there any, well, I don't know if the board members want to speak before I take these questions, go ahead.
Every year since we did on the line of sales that we do have, I think this year we end up getting certain cash over $50,000. Work, we definitely have to be doing half an hour, but not just what, you know, saying value and stuff like this. It doesn't go matter if the place work, you don't have the money.
I'm sure it's that, right? John,
I just wanted to say, I agree with you, and I think, John, is the important thing is we all agree on a formula and what it's going to be, and to just end all of the ridiculous behavior that we see all over the place. But I think we really have to work together.
Yeah, I would like to see Bob and John get together to work out the details. That's not something that we should be doing, just to take it out. I've always wanted a pilot that was based on some formula that we were both in agreement of and knew what it was going to be. Because when the numbers fluctuate as they have over the past couple of years, it's counterproductive.
I agree that every year we're in the same position.
Yeah, I do. Just a couple of comments. I'm not against a revenue-based, formula at all. It makes sense. But I'm curious of the other, I don't know how many municipal light departments there are in the state as well. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Okay. Do we have any kind of sense for how many of those other municipal light departments have revenue-based calculations?
Out of the 39, I would say that probably 33 or so make some kind of contribution, whether it's a pilot or it's a street light or something like that. It's 5 or 6 of them that don't pay anything as far as who ties the roads. I know that African doesn't. I apologize. It's either $20 a megawatt hour or $2 a megawatt hour. This is why I don't like megawatt hours.
do agree that if, John and Bob work out this plan, that takes all the politicalness out of it. It doesn't really need to be, the commission and us, it needs to be John and Bob.
But it will be,
Yeah, if they get it, work out what the deal's gonna be, and I think it should be a calculation that comes out to a number, not a range.
No.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Sure. You know that we can't budget for pilot. We can't, line item in our budget for pilot pay, so anything done, on the roof number comes out of surplus.
Is there anything else from the board? on this
Thank you
issue?
for not shutting our streetlights off.
Oh, thank you
We
very
really
much.
appreciate that.
The next issue that we have, the last issue, are to discuss the fees for services. So I don't know, this, we had this discussion with, the sewer enterprise as well. And again, just speaking for myself, I think, for me, the benefit that I see is not to extract any kind of value, because it's not adding value to the system. It's obviously a cost that we pass on to you, it's passed on to ratepayers, who at least in the electrical sense are all of us. So, for me at least, I think the more transparency and accountability that we do have, in terms of being able to kind of follow how our employees are spending their time, so that we know, basically, we have a better idea when we're making personnel decisions, we're making decisions about budgeting, how much of the treasurer's time does go to light and water, how much, and one way to do that is through billing. Obviously, light and water provide services for the town, they do not charge us as well. And I think that, that for me, at least just the accounting aspect of that has benefits. I don't know if Bob wants to elaborate. This is a more complex.
I think it makes sense for the town to continue to have one vendor warrant and one payroll system. When we were talking with the sewer department, as you recall, the accountant had come up with a spreadsheet where he estimated the cost for various types of transactions. I mean, I think that's what I would use as part of any kind of discussion there. If we were to take those, and I've done a little bit of calculation, if we were to take those costs for the town for those three items this year, chances are that the contribution that was made, totaling, what, $84,000 or $85,000, if you take the streetlights, you take municipal electricity, and the 31 that we got directly, 31,000 that we got directly, that well exceeds the cost of the services that the town is providing. So,
And also, obviously, as I said before, that if by increasing the cost of light and water, that we say that, if we work out some deal where there is a fee paid for the processing of vendor warrants or other services, obviously that is taken out of their revenue, which means they have less revenue from which to make a pilot when we do have a formula. So it's, so I understand that the town is not going to be making any money off of this. It's going to be primarily, at least for me, for accounting purposes. Does anyone from the board want to say anything before I turn it over to this issue? I'm imagining the sentiment on the board is the same as with the pilot payment to allow John and Bob to work it out. And then obviously, we always will have to approve it, whatever decision is made by those two. I don't know if commissioners wanted to say, or John, on the same thing on this topic. Or...
I did think about that package. I didn't expect it, but I usually do it before the meeting. There's some things in here that we've brought up the last year, issues with warrants and others. Those being paid, they, some of them, for whatever reason, get messed up, you get it all, whether it's to the personnel or not. At one point in April of this year, I had kind of taken an opposite approach from 6 months earlier, which is, well, how do we just not take it back in the sense that we never really did this on our own before. We can't process our own warrants because we don't have our own treasurer. We can't do all the paperwork leading up to it. And I did do some research with a few local light departments and said, oh, yeah, this is what we've always been doing. We actually have a machine that brings up the bill paper, we print out our own checks. day and says, I don't get my bill yet, it's like, you've got 2 more days. But where now, we really don't know when anything is being mailed. We have a general idea when we're processing the check, because we don't know when anything's mailed, we have a tough time talking to our vendors when they call. You'll see some of them listed on there, some local vendors, some of them has been repeat instances, which makes me think that we must have been doing something wrong when we were submitting some of these simple ones, like, like waste management. You're talking like trash and cell phones that internet access, and they're not extravagant things, they're everyday things that are getting late occasionally. So I guess, and I know Bob's touched on the issue before, and the issue's been stirred around for months now, with us paying for whether it's a portion of the services of the accountant and the treasurer, and whoever else does the work. But we just need to see some kind of more consistency. We've got the select board and my board, where Bob and I are probably more involved in day-to-day operations. And by nature, you guys aren't. My board isn't really, that's just the way it is. But when you see a lot of this stuff in here, you see what's transpired, or some simple things that I'll be honest with you, I don't understand 100% of the financial stuff anyway. I still am mystified by the whole warrant process and the fact that it takes as much time as it does sometimes. So I take that into consideration. But there's got to be some kind of, like, what we're talking about. Actually, the town accountant went far enough to say that he was working on that and able to work on a per transaction fee. So if a light warrant, like a bank, so if a light warrant is going to be a transaction, this is kind of a transaction fee. I said, that's fine, as long as when we agree to pay the fee, we give the warrant, it gets turned into a check, gets mailed in a timely manner, and we're not dealing with people calling, because we haven't been dealing with people calling, for sure. Kind of turn over a lot of people who just call the selectmen's office, which I hate doing. I hate having somebody call and say, I've got this problem, you guys owe me money, and I can't get it. Not that I can get the folks normally, I'm the manager, the board has to approve expenses and whatnot, but it adds another level of separation where it's kind of like, good luck to you. Because I really, at that point, I'm out of the mix. I can't really help resolve the issue. That's difficult.
I'd just like to say that I'll go over this very carefully and with the financial team as well, and we'll find a way to remedy the problems that have existed. I'm, of course, looking at the dates here. I know the town was in a severe cash squeeze at one point in the spring, and we'll see if that was somehow related. I'm not sure how it happened that these, obviously, these letters came in. So I'll look into it carefully and make sure that it gets addressed and fixed.
I'm sorry. These are, these are from May. Has there been anything, the latest date I see here is May 20. So since then, have there been any issues? Or am I missing something?
The last 23 or so sheets are just the copies of a bunch of random bills from this calendar year, balance forwards. All I'm trying to do is illustrate some of the stuff that's not being processed on time for whatever reason.
Okay.
But yeah, there's an email in there from the town accountant, I think it's dated April 24th of this year.
Okay.
There might be nothing in here from July, August, September.
Well, I'm just, right, I'm saying we're into September, so I'm just wondering with the financial crisis and the move and some other things that were going, like, has it somewhat resolved itself, or no? I mean, are we talking like one bill, or are we talking like every bill? I'm sorry, I'm not gonna review this right now, I'd just like to know more.
It has settled down somewhat, but that's I don't know what that should.
I wanted to finish.
So, yeah, it's not, it kind of comes in waves. It's been manageable, I would say, the past 2 or 3 months. I'm not sure whether that's ever applied everywhere, but the town is so busy with it. That they're not as busy now, and that's what.
I'm certain we are very busy between the move and other things, and if they've maintained being able to do things, then that's a good thing. So I'm just kind of hoping that really resolved itself. To have a mistake here and there, we're all human, but I just am asking, like,
You go through the thing, yes.
Okay.
And we've also obviously had personnel changes in
Right.
the particular office that handles that. And I will say that during piece that I'm looking at, I know that there are some, but looking in, last year, I mean, obviously Light and Water was not immune to having issues with checks going out on time, employees, and other, everyone. So, but
I was hoping with the new people, like, that's really what I was getting to, is this prior to, or is this now that, they're
By the
doing?
new people, you mean the people you have now, or?
Yeah, I haven't been in office that long, so I'm trying to wrap my hands around where we're at right now, and just making sure that, if it's not happening anymore, yay. If it was happening a lot then, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
I'm just trying to figure that out.
I think it's good to see the problems involved. I think it's been better than some.
Okay.
Kate, did you have something? Or,
No, good.
okay. Okay, does anyone else on the board have anything on this topic? Commissioners or any other?
I just like to see one more, tackle this issue that, I'd like to go back to kind of like where we were, when we were up here, us getting the bill out. So, we wasn't supposed to be, you're paying for this stuff.
Right, right.
We don't like to see that happen either.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. But my whole point of mentioning that email, the May was, April 24th of this year was, I tried to reach out and say, why don't we just take everything, just take everything back and process the checks. We can't do anything with the checks unless they look at it and sign the treasurer. It's in the package. I didn't really get a lot of feedback on why that particular idea was not going to work. I did get a lot of feedback on, I got a lot of unsolicited opinions basically about the lack of internal controls in our department. So I can see that I quickly took umbrage to it and said, this is my idea is not going to be a resolution at this time. So for now, what I'm focusing on is, I think the key is the mailing of the stuff, because I think if we have control of the mailing, someone else is still processing them. Sounds simple, but if we get into we get back into a routine of the department, mailing things every week on a certain day or another week in our case now, then we know when things are like, we know when people are giving us a line, and when they're not, then we get paid, or we don't really know that.
Now, one of the benefits, one of the many benefits of having a town administrator as well is now, instead of dealing with individual department heads, you have kind of boss to deal with that. So, okay, well, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to limit questions from the public on this particular topic. Obviously, if there's any opinions that or questions that people have for the commissioners, the light and water meetings are posted, and you are interested in moving things along. The next issue that we have on our agenda is to discuss the Economic Development Committee and possible appointments.
You don't want me to ask questions tonight? Is that right?
Excuse, sir, the meeting's carrying on. If you want to be recognized, please raise your hand and I'll be happy to answer.
I raised my hand. There were two hands up.
I'm saying right now, if you want to speak, feel free to raise your hand. I will be taking questions, as I just said, I will be taking questions tonight on this particular topic. The Light and Water Commissioners have a meeting when all three of them are there. You are more than welcome to ask any questions you have of Light and Water at Light and Water meetings. They were here, again, public meetings are public and open to the public so the public can attend, not to question or willing to speak unless the board, the chair decides that it is appropriate in that particular situation. So if you have questions for Light and Water, that's the better venue to address those items, getting into a back and forth argument with anyone.
Well, I have a question for you, the board.
If you could have a seat, sir, and be recognized. Another outburst, and I'll ask you to be removed. I believe I made it quite clear at the beginning of the meeting that we have a lot to get through and that I'm not putting up with the constant outbursts. So from now on, any more outbursts, this is your warning. I'll ask you to be removed from the meeting so that we can continue business. The next subject that we have on the agenda is to discuss the Economic Development Committee and possible appointments to that committee. As occurred in previous meetings, and as we've discussed in previous meetings, it has been put forward the suggestion to appoint an economic development committee for the purposes of addressing kind of economic development issues that we have in town. At the previous meeting, the Board of Selectmen had voted to form such a committee and to inquire to the public of who may have interest. We did receive 2 forms here from Linda Couture and also from Glenn Eaton, putting forth their resumes and their interest in being on this Economic Development Committee. I don't know if either of them are here tonight. Oh, yes? Is there anything that you wanted to say on?
See if this would happen.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you very much for your interest. We appreciate it. Do I have a motion to appoint these 2 individuals? Obviously, this will not be the full committee as we have more interest coming in. We'll continue to appoint the full number of members of the board. We said 3. So we're still looking for 1 member to be on this commission. So on this board. So if anyone has any friends or family or neighbors that may be interested in this process, please feel free to let them know.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Linda Kuchar and Glenn Eaton to the Economic Development, is that what we're calling it?
Economic Development
Committee?
Committee.
Okay.
Do I have a second? Yes.
We didn't actually create the committee yet. We were going to do that this meeting.
Okay.
All right, do we need to do that
I'll
first?
amend my motion to create an Economic Development Committee to consist of no more than 3 members from the general public.
Second. Okay. Any discussion?
Just one thing, I got an email from Rob Hubbard, who was the city planner and gardener for a long time, and he's very interested in being involved in the process, but he has some health concerns where he doesn't know how available he's going to be, so he is willing to help out.
Great. Thank you very much for that information. We have his contact information, I believe, that we should help the town. I first and second. Yes, sir.
Ken, I thought at the last meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought you were looking for people to do a research committee for forming the committee.
Right, yeah, right, that's what this, yeah.
That's
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just can't hear very good, thanks.
Any other questions? If not, you can vote. Julie?
Yes.
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 Diane? I vote yes. So thank you very much. And obviously, once we have that 3rd person,
All right, I'm going to make another motion to appoint Glenn Eaton and Linda Kuchar to the
Oh,
committee that we just created.
okay, second? Okay, first and second, any discussion? If not, Julie?
Yes.
Doug? Yes. John?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So now, thank you very much. And as soon as we get that 3rd person, we will pass along each other's contact information to one another so that you guys can begin the process of forming. And obviously, Mr. Markle is here to help you along the process to make sure that you comply with all the legal requirements and everything else that posting requirements that may be necessary. So thank you very much, and we appreciate your contribution to the town. So thank you. The next item that we have. Oh, we did.
Sewer.
Chief Bennett, so, the parking fees, is that something that you wanted to discuss today, or are we still waiting for? I believe last time we were, looking for information regarding how much revenue was raised by the tickets. I don't know if that's the.
I added that on there because I knew he was going to be here. So
Gotcha, okay.
I just didn't know. Sorry, he looks
Yeah.
confused. That's why.
Because I wasn't aware we were discussing.
Oh, okay, so we will discuss that, and we will have, put that on an upcoming agenda then to kind of just see, I believe what kind of we're looking for is just generally how much revenue do the tickets raise now, to give us an idea of whether we should be increasing them or, or is it pointless to give them out if we're not going to increase them and possibly more?
Well, no, I do believe it's beneficial that we increase, and I would strongly increase that we do the increase that I presented.
Right.
And at the next meeting, I will have all the documentation on how much we made.
Great. And just for clarification, it's not the chief's fault. You just kind of added on there in case. But, okay, so thank you very much. We have the sewer commission also on the agenda. Yes, sir. Would you like to come down and?
I can do it with my cell phone now.
We're just wondering what the board's assignment was about the agreement to move forward with the replacement of Pleasant Street Pump Station. We had come before you August 11th, and then I guess at the last meeting you passed it over. The funding window opens in October, and we have about 6 weeks worth of work to do. And I mean, the work can have to be done before the funding window opens, but it's first come, first served. So the closer we get, if we decide to move forward, which we'd like to do, to that October application date, the better for us getting funding. So.
I just had a couple of questions about the project itself. I believe Mr. Morrison raised the question about the useful life of the project and the loan. Going out for this contract, this is just the design phase, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Not even design phase, just
Preliminary site investigations up through conceptual design.
okay. So, and that would be 125,000?
That's what we've earmarked for this, yes.
Okay.
The total cost to get through it all is $179,000, but it's going to be a stepwise process.
I agree with Mr. Morrison's point that you really shouldn't go out for a 40-year loan for a project that has a useful life of 20 years.
Well, part of the funding is 25 to 55% grant. They tell you to plan on 35%. When we availed ourselves of the same funding mechanism with the Route 68 project, we actually got 53.4%. Yeah. Whether it'll occur again, I hope and pray yes, might not. The only option for the part that isn't covered by a grant is a 40-year loan. There's no prepayment penalty to that loan. So the treasurer can, at their leisure, roll it over into any other funding, 20 years or whatever. It's kind of nice to take out a 30-year loan on your house and use mortgage. You can always pay it in advance, but you don't have to. It's pretty much up to the whim of the treasurer.
I just,
Why is 40 years the only